This is going to be a look at one of the past coverages the Ravens have been playing all season in 2022 under Mike Macdonald. I would guess that we're playing it 2 to 4 times per game, something like that. I feel like it is overused at certain points. I also feel like certain quarterbacks can recognize when the blitz and the coverage is coming, and they have the ability to move their receivers into a different route combination, or audible, I guess you could say, into a different route combination and attack it. And you'll see evidence of that in the plays I show you here. It's essentially a zone blitz. Now, this is a little bit of an oversimplification because every single blitz here is not the same blitz, but you're generally going to see what's a 3 deep, 3 under coverage, and we were burned on it twice against the Browns. If I remember correct, I think I show you both of them here. I definitely show you one, and you will. The first play you see here, you will remember this year as well. Pretty important blown coverage on our part, or pretty important blown assignment in terms of us getting beat. I have not been a big fan of us bringing 5 that often, particularly when we're playing the 3 deep, 3 under. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not an effective coverage in football in general. It certainly is. For whatever reason, it seems like it gives up a lot of big plays for the Ravens. We do use it a lot on 3rd and long, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9. I think you'll see 4 instances of 3rd and long in this video. A couple instances of 2nd and 1 and first and some usage on 1st and 10 as well. And then I'll show you some 3 other coverages just so you can kind of get an idea of the difference in the space that is allowed. And I'm not saying that there is no time and place to utilize this coverage, but I think that when we do use it in 2022, we have often chosen to use it at inopportune times. So, having said that, here's the first look at it. You know how this one is. This is going to be the touchdown to the bottom side of the screen to Tyreek Hill. He runs by Marcus Peters. Kyle Hamilton is also slow to turn and get back there and help out. So this is one of the few times or last times that we saw Kyle Hamilton, be a middle of the field free safety. But let's look at what we have here. We have 3 deep. There's a corner, and a free safety. That's your 3 deep. And then your 3 under is Pepe, Queen, and then our OLB, who's not used to taking pass drops. And as you can see, this is 3rd and hopefully you guys can see that. I did get a frame up there. It looks like you're missing it. My apologies. It is 3rd and 10, excuse me. We have an OLB who's not used to taking pass drops, so he doesn't have the same depth as these 2 guys who understand that it's 3rd and 10, and if the ball's caught in front of them, then we can just go ahead and rally and go make the tackle if they throw it underneath of us. As opposed to Odafe Owe, who's not used to taking pass drops, has a very shallow drop, and you could imagine that it would be very easy to throw the ball, over top of his head, which you will see happen multiple times in this video in terms of throwing the ball over top of one of our second-level defenders' heads. Not necessarily Owe. So you get the idea. It's a 5-man blitz. Sometimes we get there, sometimes we don't, and it certainly looks like we're almost home here with Justin Houston. And we have 4 other rushers. 3 deep, 3 under. Essentially zone blitz, where we're dropping out an outside linebacker, Sam linebacker, whatever. And then we've got 2 other underneath droppers, in this case, Queen and Pepe. Hopefully this one doesn't get copyright hit just because I used that play. Can't remember if Baldy's breakdowns use this one or not. So just wanted to set the stage and show you what it looks like. Does it mean that it fails every time we use it? No. And I'm intentionally going to show you some where it achieves the objective or the intended effect. You got a blitz here by Marlon off the edge, off the slot receiver. It's a 5-man blitz. You got 3 deep, Peters. The free safety is off screen to your left. You guys have a frame there, but you can see his feet right here. You got your 3 deep, and then here's your 3 under. Clark, Smith, and Queen. So you got a 5-man rush. And in this case, we were able to get a free rusher, Marlon, off the edge. So certainly there are times when it does work. I offer to you that too many times, and I don't know how the Ravens look at the data. I don't know how they look at, hey, this coverage, we're allowing this many yards per play or this many big completions. To me, to my eyes, just based on my recollection and when I watch the games and then give the reaction videos, it seems like we're giving up a lot of big plays out of this coverage, to be honest with you. And there are times like this one where we're not. It's a little bit of, but look at the drop that the quarterback is taking. It's a delayed drop. Him and the running back are not in sync in terms of who's going to protect off the edge because of the counter step that the running back gave, and it's an easy rush by Marlon. It doesn't happen that way all the time. Let's look at some examples where it does not. Actually, this is one more good one. My apologies. Against the Saints on the road, where is it good? How can it be the most effective? Let's put it that way. When the ball is thrown quick out into the flats. Generally, we're doing this out of a 3 safety alignment, where one of the safeties is dropping back and the outside corners are dropping back. Now, they're not exactly dropping on those lines there. I'm just using that, for illustration purposes. And then 2 of the safeties are dropping down to take the outer thirds, or outer the second level drops, I should say. In this case, Clark is actually dropping back to be the middle third player here. The low hole player is Stone. He's dropping down. And then you can see Kyle's break to go make the tackle. Again, it's most effective, if you ask me, when the ball is coming out quick, and then you can come downhill and make tackles. You can see the ball thrown, and you don't have to worry about being attacked up the sidelines. To me, this is a coverage you do not want to use against the Cincinnati Bengals, because they're going to throw back shoulder fades. They're going to throw up the sideline between the bottom of the numbers and the sideline to T. Higgins, to Jamar Chase, and they're going to take advantage of our corners in terms of size or just the catch point advantages that Chase and Higgins have. There's certain teams where I feel like this coverage should be taken out of the playbook, and that's happened a couple of times this year, and we'll show you some here now. But you can see I just showed you 2 good examples of it, all right? But I'm going to spend most of the time criticizing it. 2nd and 1 against the Bucs. 3 deep, 3 under. And this concept beats us repeatedly out of this coverage. An over route. Yankee, whatever people want to call it, Yankee. Now, it's not exactly, what most people call Yankee. You're normally getting a clear out and then something like this. All right, so that's not the route that's being run up here to the top side by, I think, Evans. But in any case, they throw it over the top of the second-level defender, kind of like I just described earlier with Odafe Owe. In this case, it happens to be Malik Harrison. You can see 3 under here, and then your corner, safety, and corner is your 3 deep. And Brady's throwing the ball quick, but he's not throwing it quick out into the flats. He's throwing it quick over the top of the second level in rhythm, because the pass rush isn't able to get there. If you're bringing 5 and the pass rush isn't getting there, there's just too much space. There's too much space horizontally and vertically for you to cover with 6 human beings. I think that's just spatial awareness. Anyone who has spatial awareness understands that. Does it mean that we should put it away every week? No, I think we should threaten it sometimes and maybe use it once a game, but I feel like it's overused and it's been overexploited by other teams. Do we get free rushers from it sometimes? Yep. Kyle Hamilton's a free rusher from the top, just like Marlon was against Jacksonville, the play I showed you earlier. In this case, isn't able to get there in time. Brady goes up top to Evans. To me, if we're looking forward or looking ahead to the rematch against the Steelers, dealing with George Pickens, and the regular season finale against the Bengals, this is a coverage I want to avoid. This is a coverage I want to avoid against Pickens, Higgins, and Chase. They can beat you on big plays just like Evans beats us here. Very similar to the way that Marlon gave up big plays against Pickens, except those were, a little bit more of a physicality issue in terms of Pickens getting away with gentle push-offs. But let's just stop it so you can see the coverage. 3 deep. There's your corner. There's the safety, Stone, who you guys can see him despite the frame. And Marlon, that's your 3 deep. Then your 3 under is here. And they're getting rid of the ball quick, up the field, attacking. But there is the over route developing. I think there is a definite tell here, some kind of way, that teams have an idea we're running this coverage, because almost in every case, when we've given up big plays, it's on that concept right there against this coverage. And the reason why I'm bringing it up now, although my videos this week are obviously very, very late. I was sick for 2 or 3 days. The reason I'm bringing it up now is because the Browns beat us with it twice in Cleveland. and there was pretty big plays. All right, Denver at home, 3 safety alignment. I believe it's a third down, but I could be wrong. It's a 3rd and long. We'll let the routes develop so you can see it. You got a vertical here, tight end here, and then I think you got this kind of route here. And so they're completing it generally, the deep over, underneath of the clear out vertical. In this case, our flat defender, Clark, who's dropped down, has got some work in front of him. He's not biting on. He's doing a good job, if you ask me, staying in between them. He's just a little too far forward, not recognizing that there's another route developing behind him, but nobody has eyes back behind their head. But if it's 3rd and 11, you got to kind of, if you ask me, understand that this is probably a route you could see. How can I prove to you that I think teams know when we're running this coverage? I can't. I really can't. But so many times, this is the route combination. A clear out route by number 1, and then a deep over by somebody from the other side that is ran when we utilize this coverage. Why is that? How is that? I don't know. How many times what would the percentage have to be when the over concept is utilized against this coverage for you or me to believe that teams know the tendency for us to use this coverage? I don't know. I think it'd have to be like 70%. It damn well might be. It might be 70% where we're getting this route concept whenever we utilize this coverage. It's what the Dolphins beat us with. It's what the Bucs beat us with one time. It's what the Broncos beat us with here. So it's not, and I didn't cherry pick these. These were chosen because of my frustration with this coverage all year, particularly when we're dropping OLBs, which we've gone away from that. Instead of dropping OLBs now, what we're doing is, like I explained earlier, lining up with 3 safeties and either dropping 2 of them down and 1 of them off, or like you saw a couple of moments ago when I initially diagrammed it wrong, dropping 1 of the safeties back, 1 guy down in the middle, and then going hot 2 there and maybe hot 2 here. So hot 2 just means if there's a outbreaking route by number 2, you're taking it. So that would be Hamilton, or I think Clark up there. In this case, it's an out route by number 1. Peters tries to make a break on it. Damn near picks it, but you can see it's a 3rd and 10. So against some of these concepts, these quick outs or an out to number 2, it's an effective route. It's an effective coverage, probably, just based on what I'm showing you. But against the deep over concepts, it has not been, in my opinion. At least we have adjusted to not utilizing our outside linebackers in this coverage as much. This is not exactly the same coverage, but this is another illustration of something I think we have to avoid. I mean, look, with Marcus Peters out, we may have to avoid this somewhat against the Atlanta Falcons with Drake London. I know that there are people who are disappointed in his season. I actually think he's performed well. A lot of rookies have been quite inconsistent. One of our favorite rookies is this guy right here. He's had an inconsistent year. But you can see you got 3 under, and one of them is, actually 2 of them are OLBs. I think you got Houston and Bowser dropping, and then you got Peters, Stone, and Humphrey as your 3 deep. There's just too much space. Does it mean that there's no time to utilize this coverage? No, but against certain teams with big receivers, guys who can win one-on-one at the catch point despite tight coverage, like George Pickens, like Jamar Chase, like T. Higgins, it might be a good idea to put this one in our pocket and not utilize it that much. Last week against the Browns, 1st and 10, again, a clear out route by the top side, over concept. Here's your 3 deep, 3 under, and they're throwing the ball over the top of the second level defenders and then underneath of Marlon. It's often attacking to our left side, although you did see one iteration of it to our defense's left side. I'm sorry. That oftentimes you'll see it to our defense's right side, like this one, But one of them I showed you, I think, in this video was to our defense's left. Against quick outs, like I showed you earlier, or a stop or something like that, I think it's an effective coverage because the guys can rally to it. The ball was forced out quickly. If we don't get home, and there's clearly a hold going on here that wasn't called on Bowser, it has not been that effective. I don't know if you track coverages or if you pay attention to them. I try to. I'm not able to track every one of them. That'll be an off-season study for me. I don't know that I'll be able to do, like, yards per play, successful play, and all that stuff. I mean, I don't get into that. Other people who have more time or maybe more resources are able to determine was it successful or not. I mean, I'm showing you the film so you can see that they have generally had big plays against this coverage. Now, it doesn't mean it's the only coverage where we give up big plays or where we give up yards. This, from the same game, is one of the most messed up coverages I have seen the Ravens play since Wink Martindale in week 2 against the Chiefs last year in 2021. This is a 3-man rush where we're dropping 8. So you got 8 guys in the coverage, but 4 of them are from, 3 of them, let's do it this way, are from the hash to the top of the numbers here in Owe, Hamilton, and I think that's Chuck Clark right there. I could be wrong. So someone is messed up in terms of, a curl flat dropper, a hook to curl dropper, a hook to curl dropper, and a curl flat dropper, if this is actually cover 3. I'm not sure who the mistake is here. Bowser is running out into the flats. Looks like he would be the flat defender. Someone, Owe, Clark, Queen, Hamilton, or maybe 2 of them messed it up. So it's not to say that the only coverage we ever get beat on is 3 deep, 3 under, because here's one where we're only blitzing 3 guys. I suspect that someone among this group of 4 here has made a mistake in their assignment, and we've left a seam opening there. But the route combination also pulls Bowser out. Bowser is taking the flat route, and then you just get a curl by number 1. And Marlon is just playing really soft. He's just really soft. I didn't think he gave up a ton of catches against the Browns, but I didn't think he played particularly well. I thought the last 2 weeks was the 2 games that he looked the least amount in terms of being decisive. All right, let's compare the coverage I've talked about, 3 deep, 3 under, to a couple of other more common ones. And let me tell you why I prefer them in most instances. It's not a blanket statement whereby the 3 deep, 3 under is no good all the time. You got your standard cover 2. Now, you could also say that Marcus Peters and the safety are reading 2. It's possible that we've got a half-field read here. I don't think it's necessarily 2 read, but it could be some version of it. But you got corner in the flats, corner Marlon who's carrying something. You got a low hole player here in Roquan Smith. You got a hook to curl and a hook to curl dropper here. And then you've got half field safety here. Forgive my writing being kind of sloppy, kind of out of practice, haven't done a lot of content this week. So you got your basic cover 2. Why do I like this? Well, when the ball is completed, there's someone there to challenge it, number 1. There's multiple people on leverage side, one guy inside, one guy outside to help make the tackle. If the ball is dropped, if the ball is tipped, if we strip it, we have leveraged defenders there to make the interception, or there to make the tackle in this case, or there to strip the football or recover it if it's fumbled. I'm not saying we have to be an all-zone team. Certainly we have guys who can play man-to-man. But the 3 deep, 3 under, if you ask me, is neither man nor zone. That's the way that I've always mentally characterized it. I'm sure there'll be people who comment who like the coverage at certain levels. I just don't feel like the Ravens play it well. So I'm not saying that it's not a good coverage at all. It's not sound at all. The Ravens, it doesn't look like man. It doesn't look like zone. It just looks like some off coverage where we don't defend anything except a quick out by number 2, a quick slant by number 1, or a quick out by number 1. All right, so that was cover 2. And then let's look at cover 3. And then we'll go back to the first play. So you can see we've got a nice clear delineation of cover 3. 4 underneath droppers, with Marlon being the guy who's playing a little bit more shallow, but it's a good thing. I think Marlon is the most aware guy on our team in most cases, so he understood he was probably getting a shallow from the other side, and that's why he stayed so shallow, so much more shallow than these other 3 underneath droppers. Took the route away. Calais Campbell forces the fumble, then unfortunately we're unable to recover. If we did, then we're sitting on 10 wins right now instead of 9. All right, Stevens, Peters, and the free safety are your 3 deep. Why do I like this? You have leverage side people assigned to areas. If the ball is thrown or completed and we get it between 2 defenders, we have leverage side people to make the tackle and not give up as big a gain. It's a safer coverage maybe. We're only blitzing 4, obviously, and I'm being a little bit simplistic, overly simplistic with my explanation in terms of the benefits to the cover 2 and the cover 3. Do we have to play all cover 2 and cover 3? Hell no. Is there a time and place for this? Sure it is. It ain't against teams like this. It's not against the Cincinnati Bengals. It's probably not against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have George Pickens. That's my point. I don't think that we're doing a good job picking the coverages to play against specific teams. And that has been a issue, I don't want to say all year long, because that makes it seem like it's been an issue for 4 quarters of every game. But starting in this game against this guy right here, it was an issue in the 4th quarter. And then it was an issue at various times during the year as well. I am not a big fan of the 3 deep, 3 under, the way the Ravens are playing it, because of the lack of effectiveness of it. That's it. Not because of how it looks on a diagram, not because of I want Kyle Hamilton to get more coverage picks, I want Justin Houston to get more one-on-one, whatever. No, because I don't think it's been effective. And I wonder at what point in time do the Ravens say, we're not going to use it against this team because of this matchup. And in my opinion, I'm saying it's against the Steelers and it's against the Bengals. And one of the things the Ravens have not done, if you ask me, is tailor their coverages in certain moments or avoid certain coverages against certain teams because of the physical matchup that those teams' receivers possess in terms of being advantageous for the offense. Let me know what you guys think of the video going into this coverage. Maybe I could have put a diagram in here for you to see it, but hopefully I covered it in depth. I'm quite sure, having shown that Dolphins play, that it's possible this one gets copyright hit. So if you appreciate the video, please let me know in the comment section. Consider sharing it on social media or something like that to help the video get more reach. Appreciate you guys' time. I'll have another video out later tonight talking about the Ravens' run game against the Browns.